AutoLine's coverage from CES in Las Vegas is brought to you by our signature sponsor, Magna, and also by Bose and Gentex.
CES is all about new kinds of technology that's coming out, and there is an amazing amount of technology that Bose and Porsche collaborated on in the new sound system for the Taycan. And Mike, why don't you explain a little bit about what you really wanted to achieve with this, considering that this is an electric car?
Yes, this is Porsche's first electric car. It just went on sale last month officially in the US. We sold our first 130, so it is in the market. And basically, with an electric car, you have a different set of demands, a different kind of use case that normally, with a 12-volt system, you've got lots of power all day long. Electric car, that's kind of, in a little bit less supply. So the car is much more efficient with the Bose system. It has 710 watts of power, 14 loudspeakers overall, but a lot of efficiency and development went into speaker placement, the weight of the speakers, position inside the car, and also power supply. With the subwoofer and basically the amplifier in the car, the energy needed for the speakers is only really used when it's needed. So.
Because range anxiety, right? You only want to use the amount of electricity to run the sound system that you actually need at that moment.
You don't want to have to, not listen to your music loud enough because you're worried about getting to the next, stop on your trip. So,
and you also mentioned speaker placement, but also lightweight speakers. Talk a little bit about that because lightweighting is so important.
Yeah, I mean every pound counts in these cars. You look at the space this car has, the footprint. You want to make sure that that's all optimized for the customer use. There's no compromise whatsoever anywhere inside the car.
So John, that's got to give you guys some challenges in terms of really having the best sound possible with these kinds of constraints.
I think one of the things I really love about this system is how uncompromised it is when you actually listen to it, right? You've got 14 speakers, you've got a great subwoofer giving you a tremendous amount of low frequency. People are buying a top of the range Porsche and aren't interested really in having a system that's been hobbled or reduced in any way to be able to support those electric use cases that you just heard Mike describing. So when you listen to it, I think what's great about it is that all of the engineering that we just described, using lightweight neodymium magnets to keep the speakers, from being very massive, the placement of all the speakers in the cabin to give you this really immersive experience, that engineering all kind of fades into the background. And what you just get is a great listening experience that's commensurate to being in a vehicle like a Taycan.
And how do you engineer this thing so it's only using electricity as it needs it? And when do you use a lot more? When do you use less?
Interestingly, Bose has a lot of expertise in power management, right? Some of the first things the company ever produced were actually power processors for the military. They weren't audio systems at all. So this is kind of an evolution of that expertise. What we found is that there's a way to engineer this amplifier so that when you're listening at a low to a medium volume level, just kind of in the background, it's not using a lot of power at all. But when you turn it up and you really want to get this visceral sound to go with that driving experience, the amp gives you almost like an energy on demand and gives you the extra capability that the amplifier needs to power those 14 speakers to their fullest potential.
I got to believe too, Mike, that to be able to achieve this, you brought Bose in very early in the development program.
Very early, yeah. I mean, they've got offices in Stuttgart. They were early in the development across the board. Like we were saying earlier, there's no compromise for this car for our customers. So everything had to be taken into consideration to make sure that this was sufficient for our customers' demands.
Yeah, and I got a little demo of it beforehand, John, and I almost feel like I'm sitting inside of a recording studio.
That's what we're going for. I think that this idea of being able to have music that is, as we say, sort of spatially correct, right? The things that come from the left and the right and in front of you and behind you all come from the right places. To have the sound be spectrally correct, right? So everything from those lowest low notes all the way to those highest high notes are played correctly and without a lot of coloring or a lot of overemphasis, and the ability to play the system loud, right? I mean, this system will just go and go and go and go, and it always feels like there's more. Yeah. Being able to create a system that can do all those three things does require a tremendous amount of cooperation. As Mike said, we've got an office right in Stuttgart. We work very, very closely with Porsche's engineers over a period of years, really, before the vehicle ever hits the showroom floor, to be able to achieve that level of integration and give you, as the listener, that level of experience.
So anybody who gets in this car and listens to it is going to have an amazing audio experience. But I love talking to you guys to help our viewers understand some of the technology that goes behind it. So thanks for your time today, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Tomorrow's vehicles will communicate with your house, make payments, even recognize you with the latest in digital vision, car-to-home automation, and vehicle-to-infrastructure technology. So consider Gentex for scalable features ready today based on tomorrow's emerging technology.